What's up guys? It's been a few days since that last video and I got a pretty good overall response on that one, so I'm gonna make another one.
What's up you guys? You may not know me, but you know my boyfriend's car. How is it? How's it going?
It's getting clean.
Wow. You know, I really thought that this would be the motor that would, you know, take all the power, but I guess not, so.
Basically a question I got asked a lot was why did I go with the single turbo upgrade when I already had the MMP Stage 3 twin turbos. I'm going to go over that in a bit, but first I want to share with you some progress I've been making on this build. Shout out to Lee, I couldn't be doing this without you. Lee's done a lot of work on this behind the scenes, so I'm very appreciative of that. But let's take a look. So since you guys have seen this the last time, we basically have swapped everything over. So like I said, I got the new valve cover and gasket, that's installed. Oil pan with a new oil pan gasket is installed. All the accessories, the oil filter housing for the oil cooler, high pressure fuel pump, tensioners, pulleys, belts, water pump. Everything's been swapped over from my old motor. The Index 12 injectors are all installed now. It's looking pretty nice. And as you can see, the Doc Racing kit is installed. It looks badass. I went ahead and mocked up the downpipe and the wastegate and all that and threw the turbo blanket on just to give you guys an idea of what it's going to look like inside the car. I'm not going to keep all this on when we try and shoehorn it into the engine bay, but this is basically what it looks like put together. Yeah, the turbo looks huge. This is awesome. But a question I've got is, wow, that turbo must stick out the hood. No, you gotta remember the engine's basically sitting in the engine bay like this. Right now I have it straight up on the stand just because it's easier to work on like that. But as anyone with these cars knows, the engine sits at quite an angle, so it's basically like that. It should be pretty flush. I gotta reclock the turbo yet. But like I said in the initial video, this kit is quality. Everything fit great. I got the downpipe wrapped. I've got the heat shield on here. So I'm excited to get this in the car. It's coming together. And it looks badass. This is awesome. Super excited. So let me go over that question that I've been getting asked quite a bit. Why go with the single turbo compared to the twins I had before? And the answer is simple yet different, I guess, depending on your build. But my main goal initially was 700 wheel horsepower. I wanted that number. I wanted to crack that on the dyno and daily drive it somewhere in the 600s. So initially I went with the MMP Stage 3s because those turbos were capable of that horsepower goal. So I bought all the supporting mods, the clutch, the fuel system, the MMPs, and threw it at the car last year. The install was straightforward. I dropped the subframe that time around. And put those in that way. But I've switched for a couple reasons. The twins I was running at 28 to 30 PSI, and apparently that is what gives you high 600, 700 horsepower. So I was pushing those really hard. As we all know, you really gotta max those things out to get that horsepower, and that's one of the reasons why I went with the single, is because I'll have to work that turbo not as hard to hit the same power. It should be mid-20s, high 20s, but that's a lot less of a workout for this turbo than it is those small MMPs. So for the power I wanted, I didn't want to be maxing out, really stressing those MMPs. And as we all know, twins in general for this platform are fairly unreliable. So basically, they're a pain to get at, they're a pain to install.
Yo, so how close are you to pulling the turbos off?
We're still a ways away yet.
How's it going, bro?
Pretty shitty. if one were to take a crap, it sucks dropping that subframe or pulling the motor out just to get at the turbos. So especially when I was gonna be working those really hard, the last thing I wanted to do is have one blow up and have to do the install all over again. So I eliminated those unreliable twins. I never had a problem with the MMPs. They treated me well for 500 miles. They sounded awesome. They spooled pretty good. The lag was noticeable compared to the stock turbos, and I'm sure I'm gonna pick up lag with this turbo, but the lag was there on the MMPs, but they work pretty well. As you guys know, this area is crammed to begin with. That's why the manifold is this way, and that's why we have the top mount. There's not a ton of room on this side of the motor once it's in the engine bay. So one thing about the MMPs is with those larger inlets and outlets, I was actually rubbing some of those inlets and outlets on these heat shields, getting the elbows in up here. On paper it looks nice and it sounds right, but those are silicone inlets and outlets now with those. You can't run the factory aluminum outlets and the factory plastic inlets. So you're forced to upgrade your inlets and outlets, and when I remove those after only 500 miles of use, I notice a ton of wear marks on them from just being crammed in the engine bay. So you're really, I don't know how long those would have lasted being silicone. I've read about horror stories of them ripping open or heat causing issues because everything's, you know, so crammed in there. But that was another disheartening thing upon removal. I was like, you know, this shouldn't be happening. What if one of those pops? It's not a fun job to do those inlets and outlets. If you guys have done them, you should know. So the other reason was really reliability. This single, it'll make the power I want. I won't have to work it as hard. I have 50% less chance of it breaking. There's only one turbo, not two. The N54 twins in general for this platform are known to be somewhat unreliable. Yes, it's come with a warranty, but who likes doing that job? That's a long job, whether you're paying someone to do it or not. It's not fun. So basically I went with this. If the turbo does take a crap, it's right on top. 4 bolts, I can take it out, put a new one on. I'm not gonna have to drop any subframes. I'm not gonna have to do any of that crap. So that was really the reason. Less stress, easy to work on. It looks cool. I mean, this top mount, I think we all know the top mount looks cool. The bottom mounts are available, but this is pretty badass. So that's really it. I think the dock kit is going to be a great upgrade compared to the MMPs. I don't know, I can't say anything bad about the MMPs other than the fact that the inlets and outlets were rubbing, and I think over time that would have been detrimental. And one other reason that I went with the single kit is because all the upgraded twins, they really pile in that torque down low. They don't have a lot of lag. You're getting that instant torque in the lower RPMs, and that's just bad on a motor. That's hard on a motor. Motors don't like torque. It feels great, but they really don't like it. So I want this motor to last, and that's really why I went with the new turbo here. So if you guys have modest goals of 500, 550, maybe even 600, that might be a good option for you. You're not working them as hard. They might last longer, but I still think that this is a great choice for anyone upgrading their stock turbos. I'm happy with it, and I can't wait to get it in the car. If you haven't already, watch my last video on the first impressions of this awesome dock racing kit. I also share a discount code of N54Jake to save $100 on that kit if you choose to buy one for yourself. So check that out and make sure you subscribe.